I feel like a lot of you may get triggered by this video. Maybe a lot of you are already triggered because of the title of this video. But I realized I've never made a video where I actually shared about where I came from. I know I shared here and there, kind of like, oh yeah, I came from a Jewish Orthodox background, I grew up in Israel, but I never shared about like the experience and like some things that I went through and like yeah, just like the childhood. And I've been feeling called. I've been feeling the guidance that it is important for me to do this video because like you saw in the title, I am super, super grateful for all the trauma, honestly, that I went through because I honestly don't think that I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't for all of this. And I actually made a YouTube video recently that I can't believe this is what I manifested in my life in the past 2 years. So maybe if you're like, what do you mean? Where are you at now? Then I want to invite you to watch this video above after you finish watching this video because I really go into the crazy magic that I've manifested in my life without even trying. And I also made this video and it's about specifically how I manifested my soulmate, my partner, which also very much sitting on the same realm. I'm gonna also link them in the description below. First of all, of course, I want to say that at the time that I went through the trauma, I was not very grateful for it. I actually remember crying and saying like, why the heck do I have this life? Like, why do I have this life? Like, why did I born to this family? And I remember fantasizing when I was a kid, fantasizing that I was adopted and that one day I'm gonna find a different family, that this is not my family. And it's really interesting because there was at one point on my journey, it was probably about a year and a half ago, at one point in my journey that I was able to look back at my life and I was able to say like, holy shit, I really get it. I really understand why I chose this family to the T. And I've talked about it in a few of my other videos. Like everything to the T was like perfect. I'm almost like looking at my soul, at my higher self, and I'm like, whoa, this is genius. The plan that you came with is freaking genius. Like I could not think of anything better. I mean, of course, this probably gonna be this way for everybody if you are really diving into your inner work and you're able to heal a lot of the stories, a lot of the traumas, and you get to a point of your journey where you have more forgiveness and compassion in your heart and you're able to look back at your life and you're like, oh, I get it. I get it why my soul chose this life. I get it why my soul chose this lineage. I get it why my soul chose this childhood. I get it why my soul chose these lessons because it's exactly what I needed to move through in order for me to get to where I'm at today. However, I think everybody's different. I'm sharing from my own experience, but I do feel like if you're someone that's in the trauma, like in a place that is still very painful, it's really hard to see it. It's probably impossible to see it. So I want to go back to where I was born. So as a lot of you know, I was born and raised in Israel in a family of 11 kids. So I have 10 siblings, including myself, it's 11. I have 5 siblings that are older than me, 5 siblings that are younger than me. You must be asking, wow, that's a lot of kids. And yes, it is a lot of kids. And the reason why we have so many kids in my family is because my parents are super, super ultra Orthodox Jews, like religious Jews. And, you know, when we talk about Orthodox Jews, there's a lot of different layers and a lot of different levels, a lot of different sects, a lot of different types of things. Now, both of my parents became religious. So because they became religious, that's at least my story about it. They became religious, so they were trying to even prove even more to the society, to the environment, and to the religious community that they're worthy enough, that they are enough. So they went even a little extra. And because they also became religious, they also like had no say in how to raise us because we came from non-religious background. We probably don't know how to raise our kids, so we need to ask everything for the rabbi. this is the story I make up. I don't know if it's true, but this is from my experience growing up. That's what it felt like. It felt like they just didn't know how to raise us. They had no clue. And they just went to the rabbi and asked everything to the rabbi. And mind you, the rabbis are pretty extreme, pretty extreme. And, you know, I remember like getting so freaking mad, like being so little, and I was like getting so mad because I was like, why the heck is there this random rabbi, this person that doesn't even know who I am, doesn't know my personality, doesn't know me. He doesn't know me as a person. Why does he like tell me what to do with my life? Why does this person that doesn't even know me and what I like and what I don't like, why does he like responsible for my life? Like it's just like was so like infuriating for me. I was so mad over it, like my entire childhood. But I remember when I was in first grade, and you know, everybody gets the prayer book, you know, because in the religion you pray every morning and there's like the prayer book and you say like you have a prayer that you read every morning. And I remember like just kind of flipping the pages without like really reading it. I was kind of faking it. And I was like, you know, it's you get the prayer book for the first time in your life. It's supposed to be a very exciting day. You're supposed to be excited. Everybody's excited. But I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I just like did not click with that. Let's just put it like that. It just didn't resonate with me. This religion didn't resonate with me since I can remember myself. And I remember being a very young kid, and I always knew that I'm not gonna stay there. And the way that I had a window to the outside world was because my parents both became religious. So my dad has his parents my dad is from the US, and his parents would come to visit us in Israel like every 2 years or so. And they would come with all the gifts and love and hugs and kisses, which we didn't get at all. Like that did not exist in our house. And you know, his sister came, and then you know, my mom from her side, my mom is from Israel, but she came from a more traditional but more open family. So like whenever we had like, you know, holidays and stuff, we would go to my grandparents in Israel, and there was like my cousins that a lot of them are not religious, and so I could see it. And you know, some of them like would gather in a back room and watch like soccer, and obviously it was not allowed for us to watch TV at all. And I remember just like trying to sneak in, and every time I was trying to sneak in, one of my parents came and, you know, told me like I'm not allowed to watch that, and like you know, forced me. So this is like I had a window to kind of see, because where I grew up, there's no TV, no radio, no movies, no internet, no way. Music, there's only specific music that is allowed. So there's a lot of restrictions. You know, you're not allowed to hear like a women's voice, like for men specifically. For women, it's fine, but there's not a lot of women artists because, you know, it's like you can't put it in the house because usually there are men in the house. Like I'm just gonna throw out some things that are, I mean, the amount of rules and like restrictions and repression is insane. Public transportation, I have like tons of different things that are coming up to my mind. Public transportation, women have to be in the back, men have to be in the front. Men are not allowed to look at women. Okay, so when I was 6 years old, I walked across the street like on a sidewalk next to my dad. My dad was walking toward me, and I was walking the other way toward him, and he was literally walking next to me. I was 6 years old, and he literally took his hand and like looked away, and I had to tell him, "Hey, Dad, it's me." It's like, you know, I'm like 6 years old. Hey, it's me. I'm here. It's, you know, and so obviously that energetics created actually a really big trauma and a really big pattern for me. For me personally, only that, like not being seen by men and by my dad, by my own father, not being seen by my own father, not being acknowledged or noticed by my own father, created this pattern in me that I needed to have men to see me in for years. So I would dress in a certain way, like very exposed way. That's the way I wanted to dress up. And I didn't know the energetic pattern behind me wanting to do it, which obviously was super unconscious. There was a lot. So every Shabbat, which is Saturday, you're not allowed to obviously touch any devices, to turn the light on, to, cook any food, to, you're not allowed to really do a lot of stuff. So you can only read, and you can only like spend time with family, and and there's a lot of rules. Like, you can't cut the toilet paper because it's gonna cut the structure on the toilet paper, or you can't open new snacks because it's gonna tear the words on the new snacks, right? Like the snacks. So if we want snacks or popsicles or whatever it is, we have to open it before Friday evening, because it starts Friday evening and it goes until Saturday night. And so I just remember as a kid, like, all of these things are not allowed. Like, I'm not allowed to eat a lot of things. Obviously, I'm not talking about, not eating dairy after meat, and meat and dairy together. It's a huge no-no. And I kind of like I was very rebellious. So I was the middle one. So 5 older than me, 5 younger than me. So I always, I was very rebellious, and I was also the black sheep of the family, especially of my mom. So, I mean, I'm honestly like, again, I'm looking at it now at my soul, and I'm like, genius. To choose to be the black sheep of this family was genius, honestly, because that's what like made me leave at a very, very young age. That's what made me leave at a very young age. The fact that I had like a butt heads with my mom, and I didn't get along with my mom. It was like I had to get out of there as soon as I can. And my mom didn't want me there, and I didn't want to be there. So it was like a perfect situation that I feel like if I would get along with my parents very well, it would be harder for me to leave. And I don't even know if I would ever leave, honestly. So I was like, damn, I left my parents' house when I was 14. I don't think I mentioned that. So when I was 14, I went into dorms and religious schools for like 3 years. And after 3 years, I was like, this is not for me. I'm not doing this. But I want to go even like a little bit before, because when I was a kid, like I said, we grew up in a house that there was no love, there was no warmth. Everything is do the dishes, do the laundry. You have to wake up in the morning and do your prayer. It's like God is this very scary man that's in the sky that's going to punish me if I'm not doing what my mom is telling me or what the rabbis are telling me. And if I'm going to do this or that, I'm going to go to hell. And I'm going to, if I'm going to eat dairy chocolate after meat, I'm going to go to hell. Just like all kinds of stuff like that. So a lot of like tons of fear-based programming around the religion. And all of it, I really feel like all of it was around like the religion. So I look at my parents, and I think they're genuinely like good people. And I feel like they were just like, that was their path, and they really believed, in this path, and they kind of, I don't know, were lost in where they came from. So they decided to become religious because they felt like they needed some community or something to hold them. But I really feel like, again, that was their path, and I'm so grateful for it, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. I'm really grateful for everything that happened. But they got into this like religion that I don't know if like they necessarily meant for it, but that's what happened. But it was like very, very, the programmings in there are very extreme, like very, very extreme. Like, I feel like the way they look at God is in a very separate way. Like, God is over there, and you over here, you have to do whatever God is telling you to do. You have to work for God. You have to like make God happy. You have to be happy no matter what. Like, so, being angry or having shadows and, having, whatever it is, like emotion, like guilt, shame. I mean, like, it's not allowed to be here, but yet it's very much here. Because when you trying to suppress your shadows, when we're trying to suppress our shadows, and we're like, that doesn't exist, only happiness, we only should be happy, we only should be happy, God it only loves us when we're happy, or whatever it is the belief is when we suppress our shadows like that, it's not gonna make them go away, okay? If anything, it's gonna make them grow. So I know that from my mother's lineage, and I'm sure my father too. I mean, I think there's so much shame and guilt in general in the society, and like the ancestral, you know, like background for almost everyone. And you know, I feel like a huge thing that kind of drove my mom was like a deep sense of shame inside. And like I took that shame because this is how I mean, again, it's not that like my mom was the first one who started it, okay? It's probably started before my mom. But she received that and she kind of operated the way she operated from that place. And then it kind of got to me. And I was operating from that place for many years until I became aware of that. And until I was like healing that shame and like was working through that. And it's still showing up a lot of the times still, even though, you know, it's like the layers of that are so deep, and it's like it goes really deep, and it's like a very old wound, like ancestral wound, or you know, even past life, so whatever. But I'm talking about specifically about ancestral. And you know, my mom used to say like always like, you know, you have to be really happy and you have to work God and happy, but she would get so mad. She was always very angry. And like, and I think a lot, you know, I think she has a lot of reasons to be angry because the women in our lineage are very suppressed, very, very, very suppressed. But it's just like when it comes out in an unconscious ways, it would like come out on us, our kids, especially me, because I was the black sheep. So I just like remember like being ignored a lot, being, you know, of course, loving kids, you know, that's like a lot of kids. And my dad was always there, but he was kind of just there. He was kind of like an item. He was just in the background, not there for good or for bad. He was just there, but he didn't really act as a father. He didn't really fulfill his duties as a father. And I always kind of like gave my dad a pass because I had a lot of compassion to him, because I really believe that he's not capable of connecting or, you know, having relationships or being a father, because he always seemed very, you're just like lost, like really lost. And I always had compassion to him. And with my mom, it was very clear. Like it was, when I was a kid, I hated my mom. I like hated her so much. Like I sometimes feel shame to say it, but I hated her so much that I prayed that she'll die. Like that's how much I hated her growing up. It's not the case now, and I'll share with you like in you know, in a little bit like what was kind of the evolution with my relationship with my mom. And with my dad, I always gave him a pass. Before I'm gonna move closer to today, I also went through a lot of sexual trauma growing up, like especially as a very young kid. I probably started when I was 4 years old. And because in this community, in the very extreme Orthodox religious communities, like I said earlier, men are not allowed to look at women. So because they're not allowed to look at women, the phenomenon of pedophiles is very common there. Very, very common. It's almost like all of the focus in this religion is so not allowed to look at women, don't touch women, don't date women before, you know, before marriage. You can't touch even like this, like finger to finger. No, you know, my dad, even when he wanted to move through like between me and my mom, because we both are women, he had to tell one of us to move to the side. So even if it's family members, he was not allowed to move to cross in between two women. So he had to tell us, like one of us, to move. And so you can imagine when it's not your family, it's like women are out, like no way. So kids become okay. Kids become normal. How bad does it sound? It sounds so awful. And it's absolutely horrible and disgusting, because I really feel like, I mean, I really don't think, this is just the kind of like the way that I really think like sexual trauma is something that we all experience on some level. So it doesn't have to be physical, like a physical thing. It can also be energetic thing. And the impact of that in our energetic body is going to be the same. So, and I know, like, I'm sure for some people it's more than others, like, because if you, someone that lived in a very, very, very closed community, very repressed community, kind of like myself, then it's even worse because we're humans and we have needs. And when we're so restricted and we're not allowed to even, we only allowed to if we're married, only allowed if we're married to touch women, and not to touch women, to touch our wife, and and have sex with our wife only, and in specific times of the month. It's not like an everyday thing. No. And there's a whole thing around that, which I never got to that point because I left when I was 14. So I only want to share kind of like from my experience, but I do know people that like got married in that community, and it's like, it's pretty disturbing, honestly, a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of these elements are very common in a lot of like religions, very extreme religions that are like very rooted in fear and control. It's very common, unfortunately. I'm actually curious if you're someone that came from like that kind of background, maybe not Orthodox specifically, but like extreme religion, because I feel like so many of us came from like a religious background, and it's like really, really impacting our energetic body, like our chakras, as like I always like to talk about. Please share in the comments below if you're someone like that, or if you know someone like that, and what was it like for you, like the experience. I would love to hear from you. So going through all of that, like, not being seen or acknowledged by my dad. He was not there. My mom was very opposite of nurturing, was very like always fighting. She was very scary. Not necessarily that I was scared of her. It was, to me, it was like, oh, you're telling me A, I'm gonna do X. I'm gonna do exactly the opposite of what you're telling me. That's kind of like the vibe that I brought. And I'm still noticing this pattern is coming up in my life in a lot of different ways still. So I was always like sucker for freedom. I'm a very free spirit. I like my freedom. Don't tell me what to do. Don't try to put me in frames. If you're gonna try to put me in frames, and if you're gonna try to put me in cages, I'm gonna torture you, like with the way I'm gonna like act, because it's not gonna work for you. Like, you're not gonna restrict me. This is kind of like the personality of my soul. And honestly, I feel like we're all like that on some level. And what I mean when I say that is our souls are infinite, expanded, like multidimensional. And our souls have so much, different qualities to it. And then when we come into a human body, when we come into this human body, we almost conform to the environment that we decided to choose, that we chose to come into. So we almost conform to the, let's say we were growing up in a religion, or like in whatever the programmings are, we are taking on the programmings and the traumas and the stories from the lineage that we came into. Okay? So our true essence, our soul, is completely free, and is very expressive, and is very powerful and multidimensional, and it has its own, characteristics, and it's all like personality, I would say. However, when we come into this human body and we start to embodying the programmings that were being passed down to us from previous generations, then we almost forget that. We forget who we really are. We forget that our true essence is very expansive and powerful and beautiful. And I mean, honestly, you can even look at like young kids. When you look at like really young kids, they're very playful and like expansive, and like, they cry 1 second and the next second they're like smiling, they're like cracking up. Like, this is kind of like a reminder of like this is our true essence, like when we look at like younger kids. And then around age 7, that's when we kind of coming out of this like hypnosis state almost, and that's when we start, all the programmings of the generational stuff are starting to hit us in in our bodies, and and that's where we kind of like starting to collect a lot of the traumas, a lot of these programmings in our cells, in our physical body, and our energetic body, in our subtle body. So it all starts in the energetic body. Okay, it starts in the chakras. It starts in our energy centers. So that's where it starts. That's where we have information in our chakras that are far, 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 far back. We literally have information for entire humanity, honestly, in our chakras. So when we go even a little like, the next layer of that would be going in, and there's a lot in that, and this is kind of like the root where everything is kind of forming, and then it manifests in the subtle body, which is thoughts, emotions, so mental body, emotional body, all of our senses. And then the slowest to manifest is in our physical body, and in the physical body is the slowest to manifest. So whenever we're talking about disease or illnesses in the physical body, at some point it started with it started with an energetic misalignment. I would say it like that. At some point in time it started with an energetic misalignment, and it's probably many, 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 many generations ago that was kind of passed down. And by the time it manifested in the physical, that's what we're feeling in the physical. And I can tell you for sure that the person who's watching this right now, if like right now in this moment, there is so much that's happening on an energetic level within your chakras that you're not even aware of. Like so much that may start forming now. Maybe you're someone that, again, most of these things are generational, because like I feel like we've been doing this for so long, we've been embodying the programmings for so long and the generational traumas for so long. We as humanity, we all as humanity, for thousands and thousands of years, we moved away from our divinity. We moved away from the truth of who we are, from our alignment, from our authentic power, because of X, Y, and Z, because it was not safe to speak your truth or to share your magic or to whatever it is that happened like throughout time, throughout humanity, that caused us to have all these like energetic misalignments on top of the other and top of the other. And like, so the layers are freaking infinite. You cannot point to one thing. There's so much that's happening. And then, the ways it manifests in our physical reality, in our physical realm, like, people have anxiety, like severe anxiety, depressions, physical illnesses, whether if it's cancer, disease, anything like that. We're afraid, a lot of fear. We're afraid of sharing our truth, or we don't even know what is our truth. We don't even know who we are. Like if you ask yourself this question, who am I? And you really ponder on this question. This is a really good question to ask, because this can take you places. Who am I? And a lot of times it can bring crisis, because you're like, holy shit, I don't even know who I am. And that's where everything starts to crack, and that's where a lot of people starting to have like a spiritual awakening, because they start to kind of understand that this is what happened to me. I guess I should speak from my lens. So I remember the first time that I had a huge spiritual awakening, that it was a moment where I had a full-blown Kundalini awakening from my feet all the way up to my crown chakra, and like I felt like energy was pulling in my crown. It was like, whoa, what is that? And after that, I could just see. And when I say see, I'm not talking to my physical eyes. I could just see in my soul. I could just see inside. I could just see who I really am. Who I really am. And I have chills. I literally remember, like, I felt like my crown opened, and I felt like I had a helmet on my crown for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And when it opened in this one specific spiritual awakening that I'm talking about, I felt like so exposed. I literally had to put a hoodie on my head because I felt so exposed. Like I felt like my head is open. Like my head was open. And that's, the crown chakra. That's when, for me, that was the moment that I really like had this realization, like, holy heck, this is who I really am. I cannot believe all the masks that I put on for my entire life. I put on all these masks that it's not really who I am. And this I would like try to explain, like, what do you mean? Who are you? It felt to me like a very powerful energy. It wasn't even a specific label. It just felt to me like an energy. To me, it felt like this. It felt like a serpent type of energy, like very feminine and like very like powerful energy. To me, in that moment, of course, there's more to it, but in that moment specifically, that's what it felt like to me. And I was like, oh my God, I was putting all these masks, and I was in my masculine for a very, very long time because, I thought that this is who I am. And that's, that was because of the programmings and everything that I came from. And I had to put like a very protective, strong shield around me because I left my parents' house when I was 14. And then from age, I was in the dorms for a few years. Then from age 16 and a half or 17 to age 19, I was kind of like, those were real, like probably the roughest years of my life. I was kind of like in the streets. A lot of times I was with a backpack, not knowing even know like where I'm gonna sleep tonight. Thankfully, I had a lot of friends, so I always had somewhere to sleep. I never slept in the streets, but there were like very, 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 very dark times, very dark moments until at 19 I joined the military in Israel, and then I was in the military from 19 to 21, and then after that, like I was in a culinary school in Israel for 10 months, and then I moved to the US with $30 in my pocket. And I was like, I'm just gonna, there's a whole story behind that, but I don't feel drawn to go too much into the story about that. But like the relationship with my mom, I'm gonna kind of go back to the relationship to my mom. Like I said earlier, like my entire childhood, I hated her. And when I started my healing journey in 2020, like that's when I started like slowly. In the beginning, I was just kind of working on things that are more. I remember coming to my healing journey when I started working with my first coach. I remember coming to her and I said to her, like, I want to work on my communication and I want to learn how to say no. Those are the things I want to work on. I didn't know that it's going to take me to a whole childhood trauma stuff, and then even later to like a whole, generational and, deeper and deeper and deeper layers. I did not know that this is what I was going to sign up for. But obviously my soul knew what I'm doing, because my soul was the one that led me this entire time, which I did not think that way for a very, very, very long time. And, but I did feel I always felt like there was some kind of higher power that's opening doors for me in my life. And I feel like it's just like the way of me looking at life, because I've always been like a very I remember all the teachers told my mom always that I'm always looking at the half full glass. So I'm always like focusing on the positive side of things. A lot of these things that I was going through, it was not necessarily like looking at the positive, but it was like heavy dissociation. So I was completely dissociated from my body for years and years and years and years because I had to. I really had to. So for safety, I decided to dissociate from my body because the trauma was so deep and so horrible. Like all the neglect, all the sexual trauma, all the energies, all the control, all of the fear, all of it, all the programmings, all the repression of women. Oh my gosh, all of it. All the repression of me, who I am, like wanting to wear red, no, not allowed. Wanting to wear jeans, like the material jeans, not allowed. No. And we had to wear like long sleeves. We had to cover the collarbones. We had to, put like long stockings. We had to put long skirts. Like even like the tiniest expression of like, oh, I just want to wear like colorful t-shirt. No, it's not allowed. It's too many colors. You have to stick to blue and white, not like that, but like we could wear different colors, but in terms of like socks, for example, we couldn't wear like colorful socks. We only could wear like certain colors. So after I had this spiritual awakening, actually right before I had this spiritual awakening, it was on the same day. That's when I started feeling all this rage towards my mom. Like this, like, how the heck is she my mom? And I was like screaming and I was yelling and I was like, "Whoa," like it was anger, rage, like just like denial, and then like grief, like deep, deep, deep grief. And then later, throughout my journey, I went into like other emotions towards my mom. And then at some point, there was another, huge process that I had around that I started feeling compassion towards her. And then it just went deeper and deeper layers. Like, not only I started to feel compassion to her, I started to see the mirrors that we have, like how similar we are, which is something that if you told me this in the past, I would be like, don't you dare to say that. But I could just really see the ways that we are mirroring each other. And then I started working on that. And then I could just really feel even a deeper layer. Like, okay, I felt like there was a point that I could really work on releasing the emotions that I had towards her, and like really feeling love and compassion towards her after that. But then it was another layer that I could feel the energetic structure of our relationship. So I talk a lot about it, how like everything in this physical realm, everything in this physical reality, the roots are in the unseen. The roots are in the spirit realm. The roots are in the energy field. So relationships, traumas, stories, a relationship with anyone. So I could just like really sense my relationship with my mom. It was like one huge knot that is very enmeshed with each other. And then that's when I decided, okay, I have to let her go. I have to release. I have to like just bring it back to alignment. Like it's almost like I'm doing this motion with my hands because it's like almost like opening the knot, like literally energetically, it's like opening the knot. And that's what I was working on for many years. And so this was kind of like a lot of my process around my mom. And with my dad, it took me like a longer time, because with my dad, I didn't even know that I was supposed to be mad at him all this time, or I was supposed to feel a certain way about him all this time. And, with him, I felt a lot of compassion for him the entire time. But this is where we have to be very careful with like just feeling compassion, because that's where we can easily bypass. I understand if you're someone that's saying like, my parents tried the best they could, and I've no doubt they did, and I've no doubt my parents tried the best they could, because they're really good people. I'm sure they've tried the best they could. However, it doesn't cancel the fact that I have all of these emotions within me, that if I'm not going to process these emotions within me, it's going to stay stuck in me. And then it can create disease, it can create illness. I don't want to carry it within my body. I need to release it. I need to process these emotions that were never processed for years, maybe even generations. So I have to get to a place where I process these emotions. Emotions are just energy and motions. Energy and motions. To me, there's no good or bad emotions. Of course, yes, there are emotions that feel very pleasant, and there are emotions that feels unpleasant or uncomfortable. However, they're all just emotions. Emotions is energy and motion. Energy just wants to move. Naturally, energy just wants to move. If energy doesn't move, if it gets stuck, it gets stuck. It can get stuck for years, for generations, for decades, for eons. And then it manifests with all these different crazy stuff that we're seeing around the world. It's like, it's like, of course it's going to happen. Of course all these things are going to happen. Of course all these sicknesses and illnesses are going to happen everywhere. Of course. And of course there's so much more layers to it, because then there's the systems on planet Earth. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but there's all the systems, like the education systems, or the health system, or the, food industry, and all of these things that have like this, a lot of these like dark energies, that they're also like wanting people to stay stuck in these places. So it's like almost like, oh, you're already there, great, let me help you to go even deeper into that. Oh, you have some depression, why don't you take these pills and just cover it under the rug? Like, let's just fix it. Let's just act like nothing is happening. Let's just like act that everything is okay, nothing is going on, everything is great. And to me, I'm like, I get it. I'm not here to judge if anyone takes or not take anything or whatever it is that, you have going on. But my point here is that we are living in a world where we have the health system trying to get us hooked to a specific place. And because as a society we gave our power away so many times, like we don't have our power, so we give our power away to the doctor. Oh, the doctor knows what I need. Your body knows what you need. Like, the answer that you're looking for is inside of your body. It's not out there anywhere. It's inside your body. Well, just a little yeah, like that's, we got so used to go out there. Oh, they know the answer. No, 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 no. You want to know the answer of your disease? You want to know the answer of your anxiety? You want to know the answer of your depression? Don't try to go out there and fix it. Like, fine, if you need something to help it because you can't function, I'm not here to judge that. But if you really want to address the root cause, it's inside of you. Please, like, it's inside of you. It's inside of us. Our bodies are so intelligent, so intelligent. Like, our body has the ability to heal itself on ways that you wouldn't even imagine. But part of the problem is that we are bought into a belief system that it's not the case. We are bought into the layers go so deep. Like, I hope you can see it. The layers go so deep because we're so programmed to believe that our bodies can't do it, that we need the doctor to save our lives. And I'm not saying anything bad about doctors. I'm super grateful for doctors, and I think we do need doctors. And there's definitely technologies out there today that we if we didn't have that, a lot of people couldn't make it. So I do want to make it clear, there is a time and place for that, and it is important to have that kind of technology accessible to us. However, there is I mean, it's not even like this black or white mentality. It's like it's what, like, really going inside, like really like connect with your cells, connect with your emotions, connect with your body parts. Listen to what they have to say to you, because they have so much to say to you, but we just don't know how to listen. You have a shoulder pain, it's literally your shoulder is standing with a sign telling you, hey, this is what's happening. This is what I need you to look at. You're trying too hard. This is what I need you to look at. But we just don't know how to look. We're just like, we don't know how to communicate with our shoulder, to ask our shoulder, what is going on? What do you need? Why are you here? Where did you come from? Like, it has this information for you. Your shoulder pain has this information for you. And I know it because this is what I do with my clients every single day. And this is what I do with myself. I've been doing this for a while now. And on my journey, this is what I've been doing. This is what I do with my clients every single day. Like, yes, a lot of times you will need Western medicine, but why don't you use it after you actually know what is the root, actually get to know the root of what is it that's causing it. What is it that's happening here? Why is it this here? Let me get to know it. And this is exactly what I do with my clients. So if you feel curious about that, if you feel like you want to connect with your ancestors and maybe have your ancestors telling you what is it that is important for you to work through right now in this moment, then I want to invite you to check out the link in the description below and schedule a free discovery call with me where we can talk about, where you're at, what is it that you want to work on, and I'll kind of share more about what is it exactly that I do. So with my dad, at some point I got to a place where I was finally able to feel the anger towards the fact that not only he wasn't there for me, he didn't protect me, he didn't show me the world, he didn't tell me, hey Hannah, don't go this way, don't go that way, this is not going to be a good idea for you, this is going to be dangerous, or provide for me, or whatever it is as a father supposed to do, or supposed to be archetypally. Not only about all of these things, but also I had so much anger to the fact that I gave him a pass all these years. And so after I, processed a lot of this anger, and it was like very, in the beginning, it was really hard for me to connect with him for a long time, with the anger for a very long time, because of this way of thinking, because I had this compassion towards him. I really think it is so important that you'll work on your relationship with your parents. Like, if I'm telling you, if I went from someone that used to pray that my mom will die because how much I hate her, to a place that I really love her and really see her and I have compassion to her and I don't need her to change, even though that was like the dynamics that was there for a very long time. I'm telling you, I feel like everybody can do it. Now, sometimes it may not look like talking to them every day. Like, I'm not talking to my parents that much, but energetically there's more clear energy between us. Energetically there's more peace, there's more love. It doesn't mean that you have to talk to your parents. Like, of course there's a place where you need to set boundaries and things like that. Now, the title of this video, the reason why I am feeling so grateful for all of this like path and all this trauma and all these experiences through my life, is because it was a divine plan by my soul. My soul knew, this is where I'm going to go, this is what I'm going to experience, and it's going to lead me to where I'm meant to be. It's going to lead me to my purpose in this world. It's going to lead me to what is it that my mission is here to do on this planet. And I really don't think I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't thanks to all these things that I went through. And so if you're someone that like feel like life is happening to you, which I totally understand, I totally get it, and not for you, I want you to know, I want to invite you to really feel into this. Maybe try to like be open and look at some experiences you had in your life and ask yourself, is there any unprocessed emotion that I need to process about this specific event or thing that happened? What is it that I needed to learn from this situation? And I'm not saying jump into learning. First of all, be mad, be rageful, feel the grief, feel all the emotions that you need to feel, because that's the first step. Like, you have to first like connect with that. You have to go into you have to, the thing is that a lot of our energy is plugged into things and events that happened to us in the past. And when our energy goes to these places, to the past, guess what? We can't really be present in the present moment. We can't really be here. We can't really fulfill our purpose. We can't really tap into our gifts, into our power. And the reason why it is so important for you to being able to not only like obviously process whatever it is that's there that's not processed, and to heal what's in the way of you coming back into your true essence that you always been, that you already are, but maybe you can't see it now, but it's always here. It's going to help you to really see, why is it that you're here? Why is it that you came here? What is it that your mission is here to maybe it's just to be a certain way. Maybe it's to learn a certain lesson. What is the lesson for you in your life experiences that you've had? And again, it may be like really hard for you if you're someone that went through a lot of trauma. It may be like really hard for you to look at it this way because you're really angry about what happened. And I'm saying, great. This is a great place to start. Be fucking angry. Because let me tell you, but be angry all the way. Like, go all in on it. Go all in. Of course, not, don't put it out on people. Of course, I don't need to say that, right? Like, you know, do it in a conscious way. Close the door, punch the pillow, punch the bed, scream into a pillow, scream. Just like, release it from you. Just release it. I can tell you this is a great start because what's waiting for you on the other side is always going to be beautiful, honestly. And maybe not in the first time, in the second time, in the third time, maybe in the fifth time. It's going to be beautiful. Because you're making a stop. Like, you're not continuing to keep your shadows hidden. You're not continuing to avoid your shadows and the parts of you that wants to be seen, felt, heard, acknowledged, loved. You're starting to look at them, see them, maybe even develop a deep intimacy, deep relationship with them. I'm actually going to make a whole YouTube video about like the process of like really the most important thing when you do the healing work, like what to focus on. And I'm just gonna throw it here, and then you'll know that it's in a different YouTube video. The two things that are really important are to give space. Give space to whatever feeling, emotion, sensation. Give space to whatever is here. Anything that is here, give it space. Number two, create an intimacy and relationship with all parts of you, including your pain, your disease, your illness, your injuries. Creating deep intimacy and relationship with all parts of you, including your ancestors, including your spirit guides, including your higher self, including your inner child, including your parents. So again, how deep do you want to go? You know, there's a lot of layers to it. Those are the two things that are important, but there's a lot more to it. So stay on the lookout for this YouTube video. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And please, if you like this video, make sure you like this video. It's really going to help me. If you want to get notified for videos, make sure you turn on the notification on my page. And yeah, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being all the way with me here and watching. And yeah, let me know if you got anything from this video. And I really hope that there was something that clicked somewhere. But if not, that's okay too. Have a great day.